Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to have for you a couple thrift flips, starting with these stack of boxes. They were like a weird material, peeling and everything, so I'm going to start off by sanding them down. You're going to see here in a second I start to paint them, and then things start to go wrong, or maybe not wrong, but these were a challenge. So I just started sanding them down where all this loose like fake leather started peeling, and I'm gonna mix some texture paint, and I thought that that would be enough to I guess harden up the whatever was peeling, and it wasn't. Then I started to notice that that center piece of leather strap things, I don't even know what they are, but they started peeling up, so I peeled them up, and then I go and start painting. At this point I should have known better, but I went ahead and mixed up my salt wash with some gray paint. I'm gonna go ahead and mix it up, and I don't really go by measurements. I usually just go by texture, and if it's thick enough or watery, I play it by ear. So I'm going to start painting it up, and I am going to paint in two directions, side to side and up and down, although this already has enough texture, because I do like the little swirl design, but a little more texture never hurts. I'm going to set this aside, and then I realized that the peeling isn't going to stop. As you see here, it starts to peel up really bad. So I just get a flathead and I stick it underneath this fabric on the side. If I had known it was going to be this easy, I would have just started with that. I go ahead and peel up all the fabric or fake leather, whatever it is, from the side of the box. And I do this to all three. So if these wouldn't have been 25 cents a piece at the Goodwill bins, I don't know if I would have picked them up. They were a bit of a challenge. I start to notice that the little side straps also peel up super easy. I had already painted the other little box, so even with all the paint, I go ahead and pull it all up, only because in case these do go to my my booth, I don't want this lifting up if someone purchases it. So I go ahead and just pull it all up and give it a sanding. So even when things don't go wrong with projects, just keep going. I think in the crafting world, there is no right or wrong. Keep going and wait till the end result, walk away from it, and see if you like it. I ended up truly liking these. I actually still have them here at home. I might just end up keeping them. So you just never know. Just keep going. So now I'm going to go ahead and start giving these a layer of paint. And again, the paint is mixed with salt wash, just to add some texture around some of the pieces that I wasn't able to sand off. I guess it just disguises it a little bit. So here, once I gave them some time to dry, I got some ivory Waverly chalk paint, and I'm going to go ahead and give them a dry brush in two directions as well. So me being super excited to use these stamps from IOD called Adornment, I'm going to go ahead and stamp the edges of the storage boxes. So here I'm just going to go ahead and prep my stamps. I'm going to go ahead and give them a quick sanding in both directions. So for the biggest storage box, I'm going to go ahead and use the thickest stamp, which is this one. So I'm going to go ahead and ink up my stamp with an ink pad from Hobby Lobby. So I'm going to go ahead and set down my stamp. Usually I would just tap it with my fingers, but depending the type of surface you're stamping, here I used the salt wash mixed in my paint, so it created texture. So I have to put a little bit more pressure just so it can stamp all the way through. So I'm going to go ahead and do this to all 3 boxes. Depending on the thickness of each box, I'll go ahead and pick a stamp. You guys, how gorgeous are these stamps? I'm just loving them. So then I decided they needed something extra, so I'm going to go ahead and get the stamp that looks beaded, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp all around the edges of the box. I'm going to go ahead and use the little mask that comes with the stamps, and I'm going to go ahead and put it over the corner pieces just so I'm not stamping over and over it. These masks usually are available in all the stamps that you purchase. It's in case you ever want to layer any of the stems, which I don't usually do, but I will occasionally. Then using this DIY wax, I'm going to go ahead and hit the corners of the books. And it's in the color Shipwrecked. I've literally had this wax for about a year. Hardly even used it. I picked it up on accident, thinking it was a clear wax, and now that I'm starting to use it, I really do like it. And just to blend it out a bit, I'm going to go ahead and grab the clear DIY wax and go over that. And stay tuned to the end so I can show you the end result. So here I'm going to grab this galvanized milk can. I'm going to go ahead and use the same textured paint. I'm going to give it a coat of gray. This is another project. I was just kind of going with the flow. I wasn't really sure what I was going to end with, but that's usually that's pretty much the type of crafter I am. I just go with the flow. I don't really have a plan. Some stuff I do, but most of the time I just go with whatever I feel like doing, and we'll just see how it ends up in the end. So tell me, what kind of crafter are you? Do you have a plan, or do you just kind of go with the flow, whatever floats your boat? Sometimes it gets me in trouble, but sometimes I end up with really pretty mistakes. Then here I'm gonna grab some brown acrylic paint, and I was trying to create a muddy, rusty look. I'm not really sure, but I add the brown to the edges, and I kind of just blend it up with a sponge. So once that was dry, I go over with some, I think it was Ivory Waverly chalk paint, going in both directions, just adding another layer of paint. Then just to add some patina, I'm going to go ahead and add some Shipwreck DIY wax. And my rag does have clear wax on it just to blend it up a bit. Then I grab this IOD transfer, and I'm going to go ahead and add it to the front. So I'm going to go ahead and place it on, and then grabbing my flathead because I couldn't find my little IOD tool that comes with the transfers. I just go ahead and press it down with my flathead. At first I thought this wasn't gonna stick because usually you're not supposed to clear wax before putting on a transfer. You're supposed to do it after, but I don't think I got the clear wax at the bottom. It was just on the top where I put the shipwrecked. And I'm going to go ahead and give it a quick sand with my sanding block just so the label could look just as old as the can. Next up, I have this wooden barrel. I saw a picture on Pinterest that I was going to try and recreate. In my mind, I had a plan, so just trust the process. It looks a little bit scary. So starting out with some Waverly chalk paint in the color moss. I'm going to go ahead and give it a coat on the wooden parts. I'm going to try not to get the metal parts because I do like the rust that it has on it. And it's going to, in the end, it's going to kind of go with the look that I'm going for. Then here, using some brown acrylic paint, I'm going to go ahead and mix it up with some salt wash. Again, not really going by measurement, I just kind of eyeball it. This is where the scary part begins. I'm going to go ahead and use this popsicle stick. I'm going to go ahead and start adding some brown on. No brush strokes, no rhyme or reason, just adding it on with my popsicle stick. So I'm trying to create a really chippy look. I've never used milk paint. I know that you can create a really chippy look with that, but I've just never used it before. So here I added a picture on what I'm trying to create. It doesn't come out exactly, but it comes out similar. You guys let me know what you think. I did want a very, I guess, chippy, rusty look more than the picture, but it was just an inspiration and I'm just kind of going with it. So here I tried to scrape it off before it fully dries. Otherwise it gets really hard to scrape it off. But I think the issue was here I used acrylic paint and not chalk paint, and they do act very different. I noticed this one seemed a little bit plasticky versus the chalk paint. It just kind of chips off. So after scraping and sanding, and I do end up sanding it a little bit more to take off some of the high points, in the end I really do like the end result. So moving on to this silver plated tray, I had it in my booth without any paint, but it did have these stains on them that just we couldn't get out. No matter how much we cleaned and polished, they just wouldn't come out. So I did decide to go ahead and give it a coat of paint. I'm starting out with some Waverly Ivory chalk paint. I actually started painting this tray like 2 weeks ago, and then it's set in my craft room, and then I finally decided, okay, it's time to finish. So once I put the transfer on, it's like 2 weeks later. So then after I get done with the white, I'm going to go ahead and add some, I'm not sure the name of this paint. I picked it up at Hobby Lobby. I'm going to go ahead and give it a coat of blue, and then I'm going to go ahead and do a wet distress so the white could come through. So once I let that paint set up a bit, I'm going to go ahead and grab a wet microfiber towel, and I'm going to go ahead and wipe back some of the blue just to give it a distressed look with some of that white coming through. So after wet distressing, and then I did go in between using a sanding block as well. I kind of like went between two. This is the end result. Then here I'm gonna go ahead and add this IOD transfer. I think it's lemon drops. So I'm going to go ahead and place my transfer where I want it. using my IOD tool that comes with the transfers, I'm going to go ahead and start pressing it into the tray. I'm going to grab a corner of the transfer sheet and I'm going to go ahead and start pulling back as I use my tool to adhere the transfer to the tray. If for any reason a piece of the transfer doesn't adhere right, just go ahead and place the transfer sheet back down. Give it a little rub and it should come off after that. Using the same transfer sheet, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over and rub all over the transfer just to make sure there isn't any loose pieces. And just to give it a little extra detail, I'm going to use my IOD crackle stamp and I'm going to go ahead and stamp over the transfer just to give it a more aged look. Alright you guys, in the comments below, let me know which one was your favorite. I hope I inspired you today to try something new. If you like what you see, please subscribe and follow for more, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye!